the scene in episode 5 when you and Kamiko are reading the letters from Mr. Miyagi. I was weeping on the couch watching with our producer Spot, and he said to me, he goes, "You think Ralph is thinking about Pat Morita in these moments, and it's more real than you think?" Can you talk about that?
Thank you. Listen, that's some great writing by the creators of the show. It was it's episode 4 to be exact, but 4 and 5 are both the Okinawa episodes, and that. Listen, Tamlin and I have both very close to Pat. Tamlin very much so. So there was an essence of his presence there. She did a beautiful job. It was, easy to be, immersed in that, and what the writers did so well. I got to give props to them. Certainly, as I asked at the beginning of the season, I said the one thing I would love to see in season 3, when we alluding to the fact of LaRusso being kind of a little prickly in the earlier parts of the early episodes of the show. I said, I would love to find a place where we learn something about Daniel LaRusso that he hears for the first time, that he learns, and it informs the story going forward. Like, teach me something I don't know about this guy. That was my one note in the writer's room. And I think that scene is the scene that does that, because he learns something about Miyagi that he had no idea about, and humanized him moving forward. It really just, it's very touching, and Tamlin is just, she's magic. The wind just stops and goes around her. She's just got that essence and she carries that in that scene, and it's nicely shot, and it has a history. It's a little bit like cheating, because you have this great character of Mr. Miyagi that we all miss, and we're viewing through the eyes of LaRusso that loss, and also Kumiko, and therein lies the response. And to hear that from you, that had that effect, it threads an important level of depth to the show, besides all the fun, badassery that is part of it as well.
Now, before it got emotional, reading the letters, I was like, are we going to see a dirty side of Daniel LaRusso? Is he up to
wanted a piece.
Is he up to no good out of the country?
Right. What happens in Okinawa stays in Okinawa.
I knew it.
No, there were discussions of that. But the writers' room. There was a time that was tossed around, because you never quite understood why Daniel and Kumiko and even Mr. Miyagi and Yuki never got together for the second sequel, if you will. But it went a different direction, and we'll just keep this soap opera going. Who knows what happens, But I think it was handled very respectfully and well done, and a nice little story arc in the middle of season 3.
Martin and William, did you guys shed one? Did you cry watching that scene?
I did. I loved it. When I watched season 3, I watched it watermarked before it came on Netflix. I got so sucked into that whole sequence of him in Okinawa that when it came back to me, it was completely jarring and took me out of the show. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, it was great, man.
I love that. I love Yuji. I love Tamlin. I love that. Really recreated
the scenes, Ralph, as I said before, between you and Kamiko, just so warm, and the writing, that's what makes our show so different. The writing is so rich. But here we are. I was outside, and I was having a cigar, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and it was like 48 degrees, and I was wrapped up in those moments. I just thought, it's just like Billy and I talk about whenever we do scenes, there's so much history that people read through our dialogue, that your dialogue with her, and she was so bright and smiling and so receptive and vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It was like, like I lost my dog. I was just like crying, like 20 minutes. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Everyone's connected. That film, the Karate Kid film, Billy and I talk about this all the time. We're all connected through this entity that's bigger than all of us and the actors in it, but we're all pieces of the ingredients that make it, delicious, or instruments that make it a symphony, and whether it's Tamlin or Yuji or Randy Heller or a bunch of the OG Cobra Kai guys that came back, and they all add a level that is it's hard to explain. It really is hard to explain. So it's kind of awesome when that comes through at that level and gets the response like you mentioned.